Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the lab. So this is part two of the long deck profile from quote unquote regionals. I played the day before, based on the time I record this. I feel like splitting into three different parts will be better instead of forcing everyone to watch a 2 hour, 3 hour movie stand there, right? All right, cool. So here's P2. P2 here, I'm gonna be covering three, as I said in P1, it will be about three basic combos. You honestly, the two of them really doesn't come up that often, but it usually get pivot into those two combos after trading hand traps with your opponent. So it's still something you need to remember. And when you do draw that kind of awkward hands, or when you do get interrupted to a point where you are actually going to that route, you have to remember exactly how to do it. That's at least how I um, practice myself, I would say. And the other version, the third combo is the most standard combos, which if you have that, you are obviously good to go. So I guess without further ado, let's quickly start it. This is the U Pro version of my list. I'm just gonna be show with the single cipher combo. There are two single cipher combo now compared to only one before. So if you know the UDS build from a year ago, you actually should be, hopefully you are familiar with at least two of the combo, two out of the three I'm gonna show. So without further, let's just start play some single player hands. Single cipher. Um, Safer summon. The beginning should be very obvious because for how few cards you actually have. Give me that. This can technically be summarized to even just be like a single Romulus. Like you have ways to get into a single Romulus, but that's all you have. What you're gonna do doesn't necessarily to be safer, but safer is just the one that's like the easiest and the most obvious. Um, because you unfortunately draw no other dragons, so therefore Romulus has to be on the top. Yes, you're weaker to Nibiru, but come on, it's a single card combo. Real like in real game, you should have like at least one more dragon, any possible dragon you can draw. To a point, this can just be a sphere majority of the time. Like for example, if you already draw Tracer, you don't even have to go through Remain. But things can go wrong. Things doesn't you don't always draw as good as you wanted to. So it might be that. Tracer here. First combo, I'll have to summon Silver because that's one of the ending board monster I will be putting on my board for Abomination Silver to be possible. And this is actually the only way to access it for this combo. So into LP Striker. Majority of the combo, you should be able to get to this point by very obvious ways, and you're probably gonna see it multiple times. Just a link to pointing down with Striker LP. That's it. And the combo differs at that point based on whatever you summon off LP. The LP effect. This one, I'm gonna summon Black Metal, and this is actually a combo where specifically require one copy of Black Metal to be possible. Use Striker Dragon effect to pop itself, add specifically Tracer back. Link Black Metal into Pesty, then Black Metal effect, gonna grab your Red Eyes. Pesty here, because you have to Synchro Summon later, bring out the Safer. Red Eyes. Red Eyes bring out Silver. And this is the trick where a lot of people don't know is like whenever there's a dragon summoned to ROM point to, You get to special summon a dragon from your hand. It's negated, it cannot be used link material, but that doesn't matter to whatever we're doing next because we're gonna synchro summon with it. It's a purpose of Romulus effect. So you go use Dillingers and Romulus into Abomination and use Tracer and Safer as the other level 4 existing in your whole side of the board into Savage. Savage effect equip Romulus. The Lingers has slightly more attack, but the Lingers has an effect where it actually can happen in like very rare cases. So yeah, here is the ending board. The ending board at the end phase, you will be resolving. So let's just say go to end phase. You'll be resolving Abomination on Silver. Well, technically I'm in single player mode, so Silver will not give me a window to trigger, but you'll look at your opponent extra deck and banish one over there. Um, you can banish a lot of problematic cards. And Silver gonna flow because it get destroyed. I have my always chain on, so I don't miss timing and fucked up. See, there is a Delinger's window. You don't want to summon it here. There's some cool thing you can do in your opponent's turn. So, because how many Dark Ruler exist in the format, the one thing I like to do is actually just Tracer in the standby phase. Pop a Cell to summon the second silver. That's also why there's two silvers. And this in the draw phase will give you another silver effect in your opponent's turn. So technically you can get to rip two cards from your opponent's extra deck. And by doing that, let's break out how the format is. Against Dragon Link, you can probably just banish both of your Guard Dragon, or even just LP Romulus. That's still a very good trade. Against what decks? Against Dino, that one's an iffy one, but you can banish some problematic cards. Against like against Shadow Invoke, right? If they have two window or two Avcalon, you can just banish both. If they have like super power targets, you take care of one at the end phase, and they usually don't have a second super power target. Against like Zoo variants, if they only have two zoos, you banish both zoos. Now their whole zoo engine is just garbage. If they have three zoos, all right, they can take care of it, but you can always just banish one. You can just always banish the single Dryden and force them to play with only zoos, so you don't have to trade with cards. And and you can just save the tracer for the pop for next turn, because when you have the window to second silver, you already know what's in their extra deck. And against Dragoon variants, if they're not playing like Extrav, well, because now we have disparity, there's a lot less Extrav in those lower tier decks, to a point where they actually don't have that many copies of everything in the extra deck. So if they have two Dragoons, oh boy, you know what to do here. If they only have two Dragoons, well, it would be better if they even have only one Dragoon, right? If they have three Dragoon, it's still arguably correct to banish at least one Dragoon, because if their starting play is actually extra, um, you can. So, for example, you at the end phase resolve the first silver, saw the extra deck, you saw three Dragoon, you can banish one copy and pass turn. Hold your tracer and silver until they enter main phase. It's either if they do have Dark Ruler, which I don't think Dragoon that usually have Dark Ruler. If they do have Dark Ruler has to be the first thing to activate, which kind of suck, but can prevent it. If they don't have Dark Ruler, or they have Dark Ruler and Extrav, well, because if they play three Dragoon, they obviously play three Extrav, right? If they do have Extrav and they want to use it, Extrav has to be the first card they use. So you can literally just wait until they Extrav, let them drop on the resolution of Extrav before they can Dark Ruler you. Activate your Tracer as a quick effect, pops over, check their extra deck again. At this point, they will see you. They start at 15. You silver banish the first Dragoon. They down to 14. They banish 6, so now they have 8 cards left. and the chance they not banishing at least one copy of Dragoon after they only have two copies left is not high. And you can just you can arguably potentially silver shoot the last Dragoon out of their extra deck. So get rid of three Dragoons by just three plays in a row. So that's how you can even deal with like Dragoon even in extra in like extra decks. However, there's always the devastating Subterra, like extra Subterra Guru Dragoon, where they can be play multiple superpower targets with multiple Dragoons, and at that point, you probably just get fucked. um, yeah, so that's how I see it. Knowing what my opponent's playing, knowing the information is super highly valuable um in like the long term matchup. Like I've having my opponent just show me their extra deck and I get to know what they were playing. Then they draw their own six card and realize they couldn't break in scoop. So I know like a lot of things. Oh, there are other. Let's talk about other decks in the format. Against I talk about Zoo against Prank Kids, you can banish both their Butlers, which is because I think they usually have like three Link One, three Doodle Bird, right? So those are not really a possible choice. But if you banish two Butlers, they lose the biggest play they can have. Against water decks against Tri Brigade, what do I usually banish? I think against Tri Brigade, I usually decide to banish both of their Frigid, so they don't have a good link to that increase the link rating for them. So that I think that's how I usually do. Water decks really in the format. Probably like in the Dragon Mirror, they always have chaos space to have a chance to put LP back. So yeah, Sigmore is not correct to banish when you are already going first because they summoning at the end phase where if you can't deal with, you're probably already losing anyway. But Frigid is the way like they can link climb and has a great effect. So yeah, in mirrors you do banish the guard dragons. You first one you definitely banish LP. The second one could be arguably either Romulus or Pesty. Depends on how you think how your other interruptions are. They always have the chance to chaos space put back LP, so that's why Dragon's good. So all right, back to this combo. As like I spent a little bit of time talking about silver. Um, at the end phase, let's just fast forward to the end phase of your opponent's turn. Assume if Abomination survive, you can even pop another card over there. If even if everything clear, like I've had this kind of situation where I double silvered, then my opponent like dark ruler both and drop Lavi killed both. I think that was one of the actual game happened during the weekend. My opponent dropped Levy, killed both, but Levy couldn't attack. What I did was I had the silver flow. My silver flow into I think my out of tracer at that point, so I summoned the Magna. And because I start multiple copy of tracers, I couldn't summon it. And because Magna being summoned, the Linger is gonna get triggered. Where did I put it? Doesn't matter. I think I'm gonna link away anyway. I put it because and the Delindra surprisingly has a first effect that a lot of people don't even know. At the end phase of your opponent's turn, you can target an attack position monster your opponent controls that have not declared attack this turn. Pop it and burn the attack. So because my opponent that turn was Dark Ruler me and drop Levy. Levy couldn't attack anyway because he used a fact to pop a monster. But a lot of people don't like to attack after using Dark Ruler, right? And surprisingly, someone is getting people. But the real game I had was against a Levy. I couldn't attack anyway, even he Dark Ruler. So I summoned my Delingers, pop the Levy, burn him for 3k, and next turn I normal summon another one, then go back to play my Dragon Link deck. It definitely happened. It probably only happens when once in like 20 matches, but just remember it can exist. Because usually the injuries get banished already when you're link climbing. But some combos they actually get to stay in period. Very few of them though. So yeah, um this is the number first combo. Second combo is also a single safety combo. This is actually a new combo compared to a year ago in the UDS. Where I'll just not commentating in the beginning because everyone knows what's doing. Like it's the same until you get to LP, I think. Am I gonna use some editing and edit this part, or just fast forward it? Nah, too much work. Sim router, get tracer. So for the second part combo, um, I'll probably finish it first. Tracer, because spoiler alert, you're gonna eventually access both silver and charter, so it doesn't matter which one you summon. I guess just to well, once you start doing the combo, you already know which route you're actually going. So this one, usually it will be better to summon charter for the defense against Ash on your LP. But for the first combo, you have to summon, you have to access silver to have silver at the end. So that first one has to be silver. Now I'm gonna be slightly optimized and summon charger into LP and into striker. For example, if like your opponent care about not being gamma, so they didn't ash the safer and they some random, well, it's not kind of random, but they try to be safe and didn't ash Rom or Ravine. And they if they ash the LP here, what you can do by having Charger in the graveyard is use Striker to pop either himself or LP, add a Charger back. Charger revive either Charger itself or Tracer, doesn't matter which one, into Pisty, so you form the arrows again, and you can build up more boards. If this is a silver in the graveyard, now you kind of stuck because you're both Dark Lock and don't have anything to summon. Yes. So here is how the combo start to be different. I'm not gonna summon Black Metal. I'm gonna summon Brotor here. Brotor target either of the Dark Dragon, pitch another card. Like the first combo requirement is Safer plus one discard. This combo, the second combo requires Safer plus two discard because you also need a cost for Brotor. And Brotor gonna grab the Rokket that you did not access by Tracer. If you summon Silver, you grab your Charter. If you summoned your Charter, you grab Silver here. And here going to Striker. Let's see. Striker pop itself or LP, it doesn't matter. You have to add back the recharger. If you had the recharger searched off Levy of Brotor, then you can grab whatever. I mean, you're gonna have recharger in hand anyway. And because this got destroyed, you activate recharger to bring back either recharger or the other rocket. I'll just bring back recharger. And now form Pisty. Pisty gonna revive. It doesn't matter when I revive. As long as it's a dark, it's fine. Pisty revive a dark. Link both Guard Dragon into the Lingers. Then link the dark you summon, the dark dragon you summon, and the Lingers into Rusty. Rusty effect. Grab the other Fog Blades. Oh, also bonus part. Because of the nature you're searching one fog blade, if you really like short in hand, for example, these are used against like um well, for example, these are actually just the droplet that you actually have to use droplet and pitch the other droplet and other cards when you go in second to negate a board, right? What you can do is literally just pitch the fog blade for Quabble later, because having as long as you have one fog blade, like 0 to 1 fog blade is a big difference, but 1 fog blade to 2 fog blade usually doesn't matter that much. It could matter a little bit, but you at least have one. That's what I'm trying to say. If you really have like short cards, if you have really few cards in your hand. And here you can go into Charger and Remulus into quad. Use quad effect to pitch the third rocket that's in your hand to pop the Rusty, which you're gonna see this part quite often. Revive all your rockets. And this gonna trigger Delingers. Link Delingers and quad into Abomination, then Synchro Summon for Savage. And Savage effect. Equip Rusty. Need one more counter. So then set your second Fog Blade. Same drill, going to end phase, Abomination effect. Then Silver effect. So this is essentially, let me see, safer plus 2 discard. You end it with Silver, Abomination, Savage, Double Fog Blade. And technically it doesn't even need to be safer. It can just be any way to Romulus, so it will be fine. Like a random monster like Black Metal, or a random monster plus Wolf Drag or Lexigar Dragon, a random monster plus Noctivision. Um if you have quick launch, that will be a one more. I guess it works. Things like that. You can just pivot into this kind of. All you need is a single Romulus, and you don't have another monster to go into Sphere. That you end with this. So that's it. That's another quote unquote one card combo. That's a second combo. Let's switch my deck a little bit and play the, the 2 card combos. Yeah, right. All right, cool. This is the 2 card combo. It's Rocket Router, non-tracer Rocket plus Router. If you have watched video or short combo videos I posted on my Facebook a year ago, you should be familiar with this. Well, let me see. So Summer Rocket, Normal Rocket, Special Router, Rocket into Striker, Striker Grab, then into, because you already have Router, so you technically already have access to Tracer. All you need to do is go straight into Sphere. Rocket Router is actually already full combo. Grab a Tracer. Activate Boost Sector effect. Bring out Tracer. Tracer effect. Pop Boost Sector. To summon, I usually summon Charger because Magna is better to be stay in the deck, and Charger is better to have access to in case random hand trap happens. Then going to LP, going to Striker. Use, let me see. Use LP effect to summon. You can summon either Black Metal or Red Eyes, which both works. Since I played it for the other combo. Here, link LP and Metal into the Lingers. To Red Eyes. Red Eyes need to bring any level 4 lower dragon back that and you also cannot put in the middle because that's where you're gonna summon your Rusty at. Rusty effect. Overall, this combo is actually Rocket Router plus a discard because now I'm just gonna quickly access to a Quaboro by using Pisty Bring Back a Rocket. And you do need a cost for Quaboro to resolve. However, you always have the choice to pitch the fog blade if you really have like a very tight hand. Some people, I did see some people tried, which they play cloak as well. So what they do will be send cloak, close search boots, and you pitch boots here with quad. It's arguably slightly better, not gonna lie. But the chance of you drawing cloak is unnecessary. So like if we imagine these three droplets are actually used as droplet and the droplet cost, then you just have nothing left in your hand, right? You can always pitch the fog blade, which never a bad thing. Like I said in the earlier, one fog blade is enough because it's still more than not having fog blades. Quaboro effect, pitch another discard, pop Rusty, Silver, Tracer, Charger, and Dillingers. Into Abomination, into Savage, then Savage Effect, equip Rusty, then say your Fog Blade, and phase. Into Tracer. This is also. I'll go into standby phase. Draw phase. Alright. This is also. Like, this is already the full board with Sphere, Savage, Abomination, Silver, Double Fog Blade. Like I said, because of the nature of how many Dark Ruler existing, I prefer to just Tracer in draw phase. If I know exactly what I'm gonna banish in your opponents. And use Abomination on Silver. You can obviously hold a Tracer, which is definitely not a bad thing. Depends on the matchup, but some majority of the time I think it depends because you can always sphere into a second Tracer and an Abomination later. Here, for example, imagine you actually go into main phase. You put a Dark Ruler you here, right? What you can do is chain your Fog Blade on the sphere because how Yu-Gi-Oh mechanic works. If the thing is already being negated, it cannot be negated again. So because the sphere has already been negated by Fog Blade, your opponent Dark Ruler will still resolve on like Savage and Abomination, but will never resolve on the sphere. It's already been negated. However, Sphere Tribute as a cause and Fogblade has to be like while it's face up on the field, it's like a Scourgeon on the monster. So when let me see. When I apply Fogblade on the monster already, and I can still tribute Sphere itself and fully function the Sphere bounce effect and the special summon from the graveyard. Because this is only like a Scourgeon. And what in addition to it is like not only the sphere cannot be negated again, it cannot even be attacked because Fogblade is a weird restriction preventing the monster being attacked. So you have a very, very strong sphere that's almost immune to everything, and you can literally use it at any point the turn you want. I've had people just summon like two monsters entering battle phase, try to bait the spear. I was like, Fogblade myself. Keep going. And they will just be like, oh, fuck. So yeah, this is some cool trick you can do. And like I said earlier, after you get Dark Cooler, you still have a fully spear bounce. You have another fog blade, and you can if you have not used Tracer, like for example, the Tracer was still here, you didn't use the second silver. You can always summon another, your third copy of Tracer effect pop itself, then use Abomination on the Magnet. Because there should be a Magnet still left in the deck. There we go. And Magnus effect is like I think Gearsu for monster. Send to graveyard doesn't target. So yeah, that's how the full board is. Let me actually play. Let me actually show one more. I need an opponent. Oops. Let me show you a cool trick about how to like a weird Nibiru game. This actually this kind of hand did happen during a testing match. Prefer to grab what to grab. I'll grab this. This is probably a little bit too good. Hmm. I'll toss a baby here. It's better. Right. Yep. So, just all right. So this is one of the standard hand where I did a combo at the beginning, just like I described it um earlier. This is also sort of a lesson to teach you when you are supposed to nib, or or I would say when you are not supposed to nib because the nature of the deck, or at least the way I built it. So boost sector, uh, not yet, not yet. So fun fact. There's a lot of people because there's so many the other tidying version of Dragon Link existing in the format, right? They will try to think nib you here prevent Chaos Ruler being summoned to mill something problematic, which is arguably reasonable. However, doesn't work on this one because I'm not making Chaos Ruler, right? So if they decide to wait and I summon my LP, summon my striker, and they this is a very good nip point for from your opponent's perspective because it does stop LP. They used LP. They've already dark locked themselves a tracer. There's no way they go into a second spear, so there's a high chance they just can't recover, right? So I've had a lot of opponent nib me here, chain to the LP effect. And however, this gonna trigger. Oh my god! Now the drops are gonna be active. Oh, you know what? Fuck it. And it's gonna trigger the sphere. Sphere. So whenever you get nib on a sphere, you have to think how many monsters you have left, right? Just ignore this whole hand here. Currently on the board, there's a nib token. There is a couple of pairs of you can summon that give you more dragons. Like summon Safer, Safer get either black or white. That's essentially summoning two dragons of sphere. Summoning Red Eyes and summon another one, that's also two dragon. Summoning Brotor, Brotor pitch one to access either Levy or Noctovision, that's another two dragons. And there's only one way to get three dragons on the field by just one sphere is Brotor pitch to search black or white, which that can give you three dragons. Um, so you really just have to look at your hand, see how many more dragons you have. Like now, I'm making an example where there are two dragons already in my hand. Quick launch is one dragon because you use tracer already. Warlike Cigar Dragon is one and a half because it doesn't really actually provide another dragon. It only just make you able to combo. So that's a slightly different. I have to really pay attention because that missing one link rating will might actually cause you not having a full ending board. Um, what other things existing? Chaos Space is just a better baby, but you always have to pay attention. You do have a target to discard. So here, because I have two dragons already, I'll just summon Red Eyes for as an example. I don't necessarily have to use the two dragons. Maybe I could just show whatever you can only have one. But I can just show the situation where you only have one dragon, and by keeping the black in my hand, and I'll use it. So to access two dragons, doesn't matter what I bring back. These two. I can bring back Striker because that bring back Striker will make me save my third Striker, which is very good because there are two boost sectors and you kind of not want to have it next turn, and two of them into pick up. Oh, I'm gonna bring back. I'm gonna bring back a Rocket, right? Yeah. You can always think what you're gonna bring back of Pisty, and by banishing it, you kind of have one more extra monster, like one more Dark in the Grave for Levy in the later of the game if that actually happens. But if you usually like just to optimize everything, That's going to Pesty. I think this hand I might actually need to use both black and white. So Pesty effect gonna bring back the silver as we just banished. Here is a very interesting board. Like you did resolve, well, LP gets stopped, Pesty resolved. Um, so what you can do is use. Let me see. Use the first of all unlock yourself from the guard dragon. So your end because your ending board want to end with non-dragon monsters. You link the Pesty and look at this. So the things we're gonna summon are Delingers, Rusty, and Quaboro. They have a good nature where Quaboro require Rocket plus Dragon, where you have enough things. The all extenders are dragons, and you have the rockets here already. Both Delingers and Rusty require Dark Monster. So if your hand here was a black dragon, or you start with a black dragon, now it's a whiting hand. The light attribute actually will force you to use the third striker drag, which sometimes is annoying. And if you don't even have anything else, you can always have a choice by using striker dragon to pop and resolve your charger to swap a link into a rocket, which definitely can happen when you are in weak, awkward situation. Here, because it's already a black dragon, I'm just gonna use it as a black dragon. And remember, B cup is a non-dragon, so B cup is the primary material for for Rusty. And Rusty effect. So you fully resolve Rusty and the Rocket you summon off Pesty pack. We're gonna link with the link into Quad. Quad. I think if you're in this kind of game situation where you most likely have already used a couple cards in your hand that to play and to defend yourself from the Nibiru, this is probably one of those ending boards where I would have to pitch the Fog Blade to keep the, well, maybe I don't even have other cards to keep at this point. So use quad, pitch, pop the Rusty, revive your rockets, and gonna trigger the lingers. Now you already see how the board is at the end. Hit Rusty for one more counter. And this is the ending board after you get Nip on the LP when you have. So technically your opening hand is Rocket Router plus two extenders because, well, in the form of baby and black, baby and white, right? If you only have one extender, for example, your hand is Rocket Router Quick Launch, you can always have the choice of summoning Brotor Pitch to search white or black. That will give you the equal. That will still give you the same amount of monster at the end to finish the board. Um, like I said, because I have just enough link rating for almost everything, Glow Lexigar Dragon isn't good here at all. Because you will ultimately be one monster short anyway. Even you're able to do the combo like slightly earlier. With one less. That one missing monster gonna cost you any more anyway. Um, so yeah, so this is how you pivot after being the Nibiru, and let's resolve the end phase. End phase, Abomination gonna trigger on Silver. Silver gonna trigger. Well, now we have an opponent. By LP, and because you will think, yeah, Abomination doesn't respond to your Abomination own effect, right? However, your Abomination on Silver, where Silver uses its own effect to destroy itself, it's not Abomination's effect anymore. It's Silver's effect to destroy itself. So this will actually trigger Abomination's the other effect and pop the Nibiru. So now we look at the whole game situation. what you've done is resolve a 2 card combo, a very good 2 card combo, and get Nib on one of your best sort of combo starter, combo extender on the LP, and you still end with almost a full board. Well, if I do have another discard, the other Fog Blade will still be here. So that's how it is. And you still have enough resource to play turn 3. Like the Star Striker gonna grab your second boost sector and it's arguably a soul charge. Romulus still have access if you haven't used it, which in this combo you don't. And get Ravine and is there LP? Is there Alright, there's no safer in the graveyard, but it's possible you already draw safer. If you have safer, that means it's an access to Levineer. Both access Kotak and Borsal are the thing you can break the board. And back to the third striker. Striker plus Recharger is a revive to any dark monster in the graveyard. By any, I mean also including LP Pisty and Red Eyes. And well, Red Eyes can even get the other two. And then some cool thing you can do in the next turn is you activate Charter by Striker itself. Charger effect bring out Red Eyes. Red Eyes effect either bring out Pisty, then you make Romulus on top to open Pisty, I'll say. Or you can do, for example, be like activate Red Eyes effect, chain your Fog Blade in the graveyard to revive Rusty. Assume this, like, for example, get popped or Savage get negated, Savage get out, which happens all the time. Well, worst case, you just tracer pop your Rusty, which never an issue. It's also a good cost for droplets. Just saying, you can form an open arrow by having LP revive from the graveyard of uh, Charger effect and Rusty revive of Fogblade to form an arrow. Like for example, LP. For example, you revive Rusty here, and you can put LP here, and you can use LP effect to summon monsters here in the middle zone. That's like a very cool interaction you can actually do. That's also why I prefer to just banish like Striker Dragons and extra like Black Baby. Even though Noctivision has quote unquote a graveyard fight in the graveyard, I will prefer to just banish it because that barely happens. Um, and having LP and Pissing in the graveyard will make your turn 3 much, much, much more stronger because you actually get to reuse these effects in extreme circumstances. So, well, just make sure you remember once LP and Pisty landed on the field, you cannot summon Rusty, so you have to summon Rusty before or in the same chain link but in the higher chain. So yeah, this is some cool tips. The first thing I showed is what if your opponent nib on your LP, which now I guess no one's gonna do it, but it's still good to know. But however, there's still people taking care you playing Chaos Ruler in the other version and nib you before you even LP, which is arguably better. It's not wrong from their standpoint. They are unfortunate playing against a different version. Um, and I didn't show, but I talk about it how you can abuse Pogblade and Rusty's arrow to synergize with LP or Pisty later in the turn. When you are sort of coming back after your board get broke, like at turn 3. So yeah, this is pretty much. Oh, name's gone. This is pretty much the I would say three basic combos and 2 of like cool tips from the current build. There are obviously a lot more, um, but it probably only comes up when I actually get to play it. I don't really remember it in my mind at this point. Yeah, just feel free to play around the deck, feel it a little bit, and see how it goes. The next part 3, I will be covering just what happened actually in the tournament, my matchup breakdown, whatever miscellaneous things, and maybe cover a little bit more cool tips if I do remember it. So stay tuned and let me know what you feel about the video, about the deck profile. This is part two. I'll see everyone in part three. See ya.